Mindy, welcome. I know we just got finished recording for the Stepmom Diaries. So if you haven't listened to our episode, definitely go over to the podcast and take a listen there. Over here on YouTube, we do some special little episodes with a few of our guests who have really great coaching experience because we like to talk to them about what advice they might have for newer coaches or people considering going into helping step families. So, Mindy, I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit because you have built an amazing business over there.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I love talking about this, so I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. We know your stepmom story. What was it that made you decide you wanted to coach and build up this great business?
Okay, so I had some serious internal drama happening around this. I really felt like there was something missing in my life, meaning I really wanted to give back. I really wanted to share what I had learned. I really wanted to honestly talk about this more. I just felt like in all of my circles and online, I wasn't really connecting to a lot of the voices out there. And when you don't connect or see yourself or your ideas or your emotions reflected anywhere, it's kind of like this pull to put it out there. Even though I will say I was scared shitless to
My
do
God,
it. I
same.
mean, horribly terrified. I was like, I just don't know if I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can put my story out there. I don't know if I can publicly talk about all of the ugly parts of my journey. Like, what are my stepkids going to think? Am I going to get hate mail from bio mom? What's going to happen?
It's one of the biggest things I talk to new coaches about, that they're nervous about those very things. In fact, I was emailing with somebody about that today. Like, how did you get over? I'll tell you how I got over it. How did you
Yeah.
get over it?
Okay. So it was a process, but I do feel like one, yes, do all the thought work. I did a lot of thought work. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the people closest to me. I had a conversation with my adult stepkids. All of them were adults when I started this. One was barely an adult and going to college, but still they were all adults. They all had social media. I talked to my husband. I just really processed with the people closest to me. I let my once I kind of processed my own stuff, I went to my stepkids at that point and said, listen, I'm really thinking about doing this. What do you think? I want you to know it's going to be out there. I want you to also know that there will be parameters around what I talk about. I will be respectful. I won't tell personal stories about you unless it's approved ahead of time. And I'm a little different than a lot of creators, but I do not share pictures of my stepkids or my children
I don't
online.
either. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't either.
I don't. I had some mental drama around that because there was some feedback in the early days that, maybe, and I think I internalized a lot of the feedback a little harsher than maybe it had actually been. But there were people kind of questioning my legitimacy because I wasn't sharing my family. Like, do we know if Mindy has 4 stepkids? I don't know. You guys probably still don't. We'll never know. Like I could be a fake. No, I'm just kidding. But essentially, I worried there would be an issue with legitimacy because I wasn't sharing all of that. And the truth is, no, because your language, nobody could know how to talk about this unless
Right.
they lived it. Like, let's
So
be
true.
real. You
Yeah. So
cannot
true.
talk about the intimate details of this unless you have absolutely lived all of those pain points firsthand. So that just push that aside. Okay. If you choose to share your kids, I would just say, obviously, have a conversation about it. Make sure your partner's on the same page. Make sure that the kids are okay with it, all of that. And honestly, remember that kids under 18 cannot consent. So you got to think about that stuff because you don't know how big your platform will grow. That's the thing you have to remember. If your platform went from 0 to 100,000 in a year, would you still want your kids on a page that's 100,000 people?
I have always felt really strongly about not putting stuff out there about my stepkids. And ultimately, I mean, we have a real high conflict relationship with their mom. So Craig and I had a lot of conversations about this before I started. And I was worried that, well, if she comes across my stuff, like how is that going to blow back on us? And ultimately we decided, well, the way that I talk about my stuff, I don't talk about her. I talk about my stepkids very broadly. And if I'm ever telling a story, it's usually one where I look bad. you know, it's like about a mistake I made. And then occasionally, like I have a stepdaughter in college and she and I are very close. And occasionally there'll be a picture that I take that I'm like, hey, how many
Uh-huh.
kids my stories. Do you mind?
Mhm.
Ever do it as a post. I just feel like I'm telling my story, not theirs, and they might have a very different view on, like,
Mhm.
our story, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think your family life needs to be intertwined with your business so tightly as maybe you were seeing out there.
Yeah,
It can be separate, and I actually think it's a great protective mechanism to have when you're building a business.
yeah, I think that's right. Speaking of 100,000 followers, I mean, you've built an enormous platform on social media.
Thank you.
Tell me about that because you mentioned you were worried about telling your story out there. You do such a great job of getting on camera and just talking to people and
Mm.
letting them in on your life. How did you get over that and get comfortable doing that? Because that is something a lot of people, myself included, struggle with.
It's hard at first, for sure, and there's gonna be a hump that you have to get over. The more you do it, the easier it will become. This to me now feels like I'm talking about the weather in a lot of ways. It's not hard because there's so much repetition to it that now I feel 0 shame, I feel 0 worry. I really am not afraid to share my story, and also part of that is oftentimes when we start talking about something, we haven't really actually fully processed it. So there's emotion that comes up, there is fear, there's shame, there's all those complex emotions that were tied to that experience that still haven't been fully processed, and I will say that is actually the beauty. Nothing has helped me to become more confident as a stepmom as my career. Talking about this so much has really developed my confidence in owning my story and not feeling ashamed of how deeply I struggled and not feeling ashamed of the complex emotions and thoughts that I had and still have as a stepmom.
Yeah.
I own them now. And so that this journey in really what started out as like helping other women, that was my goal at least, has really helped me to process and move past so many of those hangups that I had about my own experience. So I would say one, my rule of thumb with myself is this. I don't talk about anything personal until I have at least done some processing. I do not put the raw out there. I know there's other creators that do that, but I think it can get messy. Do you want to think and process a little bit before you actually share. Once you get to that point, then share and share and share and share because I guarantee those pain points that you've experienced, those deep dark, struggles you've had, somebody else has had them, probably 1,000 women have had them. And the more you talk about that, the more you're going to connect to your audience. You're going to connect to your clients. That's what they want to hear from you. They want to see themselves reflected in you. So it takes a minute to get over it. It does. No, honestly, talking to the camera is not for everyone, and that's okay. Find what feels good to you. So try it out. If it feels good, great. If not, then do carousels. Make amazing carousels. I see accounts that go viral all the time that are just carousels and they do amazingly. So
Yeah, totally.
you
Yeah.
don't have to do what I do or what you do
Yeah.
to be successful. Find what you're good at and then really run with it and be consistent, and you'll grow for sure.
I love that. Okay. So, last question, because I just have to. So, I run the Step Family Coach Academy and I train step family coaches. And you were in my founding member class, my founding class of students. And I remember when you were like, I'm kind of thinking I might want to do this. I'm like, you are already coaching. Like, I can't believe you want to do this. And you did. And of course, have built your business bigger and bigger and bigger. Tell me how what you learned in the academy has helped you in coaching clients or helped clients deal with some of the more emotionally charged aspects of step family life.
I'm a big believer in investing in as much education as you can in this role. Anytime you're responsible for guiding other people in their lives, you need to take that really seriously. And I have always felt very passionate about accurate information. And I feel very responsible for the advice I give people. And so when you decided to create this certification, I was really excited because one, I'm like clamoring for blended family education. And I knew I could trust what you were putting out there. And two, the foundation that you have for what you teach other people is critical. It is critical. You want to make sure that you are aligned with the research and the evidence behind your systems, your education, your support. Because one, liability. Two, it's also really important that you don't base your coaching off of opinion only, because opinions only go so far, right? Your opinion is a very small vantage point, viewpoint that you have. It is not broad because you only have your lived experience. And as much as we feel we really know, this is what worked for me, this is what I did to my family, that's great. You need to bring that to the table too. That's awesome. People want to hear that. But you also need to broaden that
Yes,
expertise
absolutely.
out to so many different areas and viewpoints to make sure that what you tell these people, your clients, is well balanced information.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. I mean, obviously, but and I'm excited to start doing more with the coaches that come through the program. We kicked off a new series this month and brought Todd Jensen into the community to talk to coaches about some of the research he's been doing. And so we're going to be doing that regularly for our coaches, which I think is just going to give them more tools. As you said, like it's just so important if we're going to be out there talking to people about this that we do have, some evidence based research behind us because that's one thing that drives me crazy. Like, as much as I love seeing more and more voices and people online talking about step families, there are so many who aren't trained.
Yeah.
And some of the advice that's out there is very well intentioned, but is just
Yes.
bad.
Yes, it's horrible. And genuinely, I will say this too, your clients will be attracted to you because of that balanced information you're putting out. All my clients basically say to me, I looked and looked and looked, and all the advice out there was so toxic or not aligned with who I wanted to be or how I wanted to navigate things. And your information, your content came across as balanced and researched and fair. And that's why it's so important too, is that not only is it important because you're guiding people in their lives, but it's also important because if you really want to connect to ideal clients, which I will tell you is so incredibly important in
Yes.
your job, you need to put the right type of energy and information on your content. Don't do clickbait stuff. Don't do you can get a little rise out of people and saying something a little controversial, but make sure it's in alignment with your values, because otherwise, you're going to get a whole host of people that you actually don't really want to work with.
Yeah, that's so true. Coaches, listen to Mindy. She has got a lot of experience. Go follow her. I'll drop all her links in the description. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much. I loved it.